Hello, it's lmao again. I'm doing another one of these because it's fun and I have a lot to talk about today. Apologies if I sound a bit weird in this video compared to the last one, but I promise you it'll all be explained. I have had single-handedly the worst week, and it's just another story about me slowly falling apart. Don't worry, it's nothing serious. It's just been a time and I want to talk about it because I just need to get this out because oh my god, I have been through the ringer, let me tell you. So what's made this week an absolute trash fire? Well, it all started on Wednesday because I had the dentist. Something you may not know about me is that I am absolutely terrified of the dentist. Like, it's not just a simple dislike like everyone has. At least, I hope everyone has. If there's someone out there that likes going to the dentist, I don't want you anywhere near me, if I'm honest. This is a genuine fear of the dentist, and it started around, I think, 8 years old, where I suffered a pretty traumatic tooth extraction. So there's me, 8 years old, munching on some crisps, good old British delicacy, and I feel something snap in my mouth. You know, pretty disconcerting. So I went to my mum about it, and it turns out that one of my teeth had snapped. So she called the hospital to have an emergency dental appointment there, where I had to have the tooth removed because there's no way in hell I can just be existing with half a tooth. Regardless of whether or not it's a baby tooth, it's just not healthy all around. So I had to get that taken out. But the traumatic bit came in with the fact that after the guy put the injection in my mouth, he didn't wait for it to take any effect, so he just pulled the tooth out of my head like it was nothing. I had to have been in some sort of shock because I don't remember crying or anything like that. I don't think my mum even remembers me crying. I was just dealing with the fact that my face was numb and felt massive for the rest of the day. But a few months go by and we go to our family dentist again, and lo and behold, I've just started screaming, like non-stop. I couldn't calm down, and the dentist couldn't look in my mouth for anything. I wouldn't let him. I was terrified, and it seemingly came out of nowhere due to the fact that I was in some sort of shock or something. I don't know why, but it just seemed that I was fine at the time, and then the next time I sit in a dentist chair, all of that trauma just spilled out of me, and I just couldn't be consoled until I was out of that dentist's office. I was sent to a specialist dentist who was this really nice lady who specialised in children who have suffered some sort of trauma or were just scared of the dentist and didn't trust them because, you know, it's a stranger looking in your mouth. She showed me how everything works. You know, like she let me spray the water gun thing across the room. It was kind of fun, regardless of the fact that I was crying through most of them. But whenever I cried a bit less, I would like be praised. I'd be told I'm such a brave girl, and it was all sorts of positive reinforcements, which I kind of need as a 25-year-old. And this dentist actually helped me with my phobia for a good number of years. I went to the dentist regularly with my family, and I was nervous, but I could sit in the chair and have treatment done and not feel like I was going to scream the place down. So you're probably thinking, well, that's great, but why are you terrified of the dentist now if he had all this specialist treatment done? I can't answer that question. I must have had a relapse of some kind because for some reason I stopped going, and whenever the thought of going to the dentist was brought up, I just wanted to cry. I cannot explain to you when or how this even started up again, but it's just how it is, and I'm terrified. So what spurred on this decision to go to the dentist after God knows how long of being terrified? It started when I noticed that one of my teeth just didn't feel right. It wasn't painful, it just felt wrong. It felt like the filling I already had in it had fallen out or something like that. I don't know, but it didn't feel right, and I knew I had to see a dentist before I felt pain. See, I experienced character growth. I actually learnt my lesson from my feet. I'm not going to wait until I'm in utter agony before I seek medical advice. When it came to arranging an appointment, I just felt like I couldn't do it. I was so terrified that the thought of just making a phone call to my regular NHS dentist struck such fear in me that I just wanted to just cry every time I picked up that phone to attempt to make an appointment, and I just couldn't do it. My mum, however, came in clutch because she recently had quite a lot of dental work done, and she had been seeing a private dentist, and she told me that the experience at a private dentist is so unlike the NHS dentist. That turned out to be very true, and I'll explain why. I'm gonna skip the boring consultation appointment and just go straight into the meat and potatoes of what actually happened on Wednesday. After not sleeping the night before because I was so terrified, Wednesday morning comes around and I hop on the bus and go to my appointment. Going there, I was under the impression that it was just going to be a filling for this tooth that fell off, but it turns out it was going to be a bit more than that. I ended up having 2 procedures done, and that was a filling and having a tooth removed.
Scariest twist of all time.
Yeah, I had a whole ass tooth removed on the first proper appointment with this private dentist. The filling was bad enough because I was shaking like I had just overdosed on caffeine that morning. Like, this was a pretty big filling I had to get done, so I had to have an injection done, and that was one of the things that was particularly terrifying because, you know, as I explained with the emergency dentist, I was worried that he wasn't going to wait, but he did. He waited a good 30 seconds for it to take place, and once those 30 seconds had passed, he sort of pressed against the gum with that little pokey tool he has and just asked me, "Can you feel that?" And I didn't feel anything. The dentist was so nice. Like, he knew I was terrified, and so he just told me what everything he was doing and made me feel like I was in total control. Now, the filling, I was terrified throughout the entire thing. But one thing that he did that I hadn't actually had many dentists do in the past, and that was to play music. Now, the original reason to play music was to hopefully drown out the sound of the drill, because, oh my god, I hate the drill. Why does it make that sound? I hate it so much. I hate dentist drills, because I've got sensitive ears anyway, and they are so high-pitched and just inside your head. I hate it. And playing music didn't even drown out the sound, but for some reason, it felt nice just having music on. I don't know the scientific reason for that, but just having music on in the background was really nice, and it was just something that I could focus on once the drilling had stopped. Like, it was almost like a reward of going through drilling. I don't know how to explain it, and it was actually kind of nice to see the dentist even jamming out to my music selection, so I made a good choice that day. When it came down to the tooth removal, it was going to be a toss-up of whether or not I was going to need a filling for that back tooth, or if it did need to be removed, and unfortunately it had decayed so much that it had to be taken out. The moment he said that, he must have seen my face just go white, because I, for lack of a better term, I shit myself, okay? Like, there's no denying it. I was so scared. But he let me think about it, and it was ultimately my decision to get this tooth taken out. But the only risk was that if I didn't have it taken out that day and went home, there was a risk that I could have an abscess. And your girl ain't about having an abscess, okay? My brother had one, and he was on antibiotics and in loads of pain. So, you know what? As scared as I am, having an abscess is much worse than a few minutes of discomfort. So I decided to be a brave girl and get the tooth taken out. The description the dentist gave me for what the tooth extraction would feel like was actually spot on. Essentially, if you press on your shoulder, that sensation of pressure is exactly how a tooth extraction feels, but it's just in your head and ultimately way more uncomfortable. But it was a good frame of reference to know that, you know, pressure on your shoulder doesn't hurt, neither does having a tooth pulled. There was even this whole process we went through when it came to actually removing the tooth, because he has to like wiggle it around and pull and wiggle and pull and all of that. And he was so nice. He essentially, what he would do is that he would count to 10 and pause and see how I was, like, you know, if I was shaking, if I needed to just breathe for a second, because it was clear that I was proper terrified of this. And that's what he did. He did it numerous times. He'd count to 10, he'd pause for like 10 seconds just to see how I was, and then continue. Count to 10, pause, count to 10, pause, and all of that. And once I knew that I was in total control of that situation, like if I said that we needed to stop for any reason, I knew that he would stop. And with that sort of control and not feeling like he's just gonna hoik this tooth out of my head, I felt better that I could actually go through with him just continuously pulling and doing what he needs to do to just get this done and dusted as soon as possible and as comfortable as possible. Unfortunately, the dentist actually had to get a scalpel out at one point because one of the roots of my tooth was just in my gum, and they couldn't really get it out with the method they were using. So I actually had to have a scalpel and stitches for that procedure, which just added more money. After I was all stitched up and tooth free, I became £560 poorer. Like, I wasn't expecting to spend that much today. I thought I was just going in for fillings, man. all because I needed to have a scalpel used and stitches. It just tacked on, I think, like 350 quid to my initial procedure. It was so expensive, but ultimately worth it. Like, I can make that back going to work. It's fine, and I don't have to worry about having an abscess. Alright, I'm happy not having an abscess. Now, my mother at this time, she left for her 10-day camping trip up to Scotland. So I had to break the news to her over text that I just had a tooth removed. Needless to say, I got a phone call asking what the hell just happened. So we had a laugh over the phone, just explaining what had happened and how I'm doing and things like that. And I went home, took some painkillers, and went to bed. Now you're probably thinking that wasn't too bad. It was just a dental appointment, right? Well, guess you got an ear infection on Thursday. Oh dear. It's like I woke up that morning and my ear was hurting, and I've had ear infections in the past, so I know exactly what the start of one feels like. And oh my god, I was like, no, I don't need this right now. The worst part about this is that the tooth I got removed was on the right side. Well, the ear infection is on my left side. So I just have pain on both sides of my head. Like, I sleep on my side as well. So I'm double screwed. I can't sleep properly because if I lay on my right side, I'm hurting my gum that's just got stitches in it. And if I sleep on my left side, my ear decides to rebel against me. And to top it all off, it just gets worse and worse. I tried to call a doctor on Thursday, and I couldn't get through because all the lines are busy. Because, you know, people are ill all over the world. In case you didn't know. So I was like, all right, okay, I'll call tomorrow. You know, that's when an ear infection really starts to hurt. It's always the day after. Well, I was in pain, and it's all I couldn't get through on Friday. I couldn't get through. It was just line is busy and just hung up. And then the one time I got through, I was on hold for like 5 minutes, and then it kicked me off.
What? You fuckers.
and then the surgery was closed. So I had to wait all weekend to call a doctor to just get some eardrops from my ear.
Son of a bitch!
So an entire weekend I was just taking codeine which in case you don't know, can be highly addictive, but it was the only painkiller that was strong enough to actually combat this ear infection and the fact that I had a tooth removed. I just decided to go balls to the walls and go for the strongest thing that wasn't morphine. And so Monday morning rolls around, I'm up super early to call the doctor as soon as they open, and I did get through, but they kind of operate on a triage system over the phone. They don't have people going into the actual doctor's surgery due to, you know, global events. So despite calling at 8:15 in the morning for this doctor's appointment, I did not receive a call back until 4:15 in the afternoon while I was at work. What an actual mess. But thankfully I have a prescription for eardrops now, so I can finally just move on from this week and just start feeling better, because oh my god, I am so done with doctors and dentists and all of this mess. I just want to be normal again. I hope you guys had some good laughs listening to my pain, because laughter is all I can do right now, because if I don't, I'd probably cry myself into unconsciousness. So whether it be another one of these videos or an actual animation, I will catch you all next time, and I hope you've had a better week than I have. See you guys.